Hey, welcome back to Karen's Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Wat leuk dat je weer kijkt. Dankjewel. Yes, it's that time of the month and it's time for the Stampin' Insta-Hop. This month's theme is for men, and Stampin' Up carries a lot of beautiful stamp sets and dies that are made for men. It's just that no one that I know is into any of these activities, so whenever I make a card for a man, I make one with the stamping supplies that I do have. This one, for example, not a fish or a motorbike in sight. Do you want to find out how to make it? Come and join me. I do like this card, and I've made plenty of them, because I do find cards for men difficult to make. And whenever I have a design that I like, I just make multiples to make sure that I have cards on hand to send for a birthday. It's really relatively easy to make, because you have a card base and you make this mat to go on top and you add the hearts, and I'm going to show you how you can make it. I'm going to start first of all with a piece of thick basic white, which is, and I'm looking for my paper, which is 4 inches, and I did take 4 inches because of the dimensions of the card by 11.5, so it's a bit narrower and a bit longer than cards usually are. I just cut off a small piece there, and I'm going to score this. Put my cutting blade up, of course. I'm going to score this at 5 3/4. And I'm going to mask this. Because I'm going to do some stamping. So I put the mask over along that scored line, and if your masking paper is not long enough, here it should be masked, that end, towards the left of the card. And I'm going to stamp in crushed curry, and I'm using the Sweetest Cherry stamp set for that. This one is a sort of basket type, basket weave I should say. And I'm just going to stamp along the left edge of the card. You can see through the stamp because it's photopolymer, so you can make sure that the stamped image meets. What I do is I just move over until I see the stamped image butting up just where the ink is on the block, and then I stamp. See, so I'm moving it and then I'm moving it down, because if you move it too far down you will get really obvious white lines in between, which wouldn't look really very nice. So that's the card base. As I said, relatively easy. I can take away my mask. And this is then ready to take the mat, and I'll show you how to make the mat as well. See? For the mat you need a piece which is 3 by 6 inches, and this beautiful paper is the back of this paper. And of course it's a shame to cut up this paper, but I love this colour as well. So I need a 3-inch piece, and then 6 inches, and I'll take up one. I'm going to use the Scalloped Contours dies. It's a relatively large set. You've got these rectangles, I was going to say squares, rectangles they are, but you also have this one, which makes for a lovely edge, and I'm going to use that to cut the edge. Now, you want the arches to go against the top of the cardstock, designer series paper, and you want there and there an equal border, and then you attach it and you run it through a die cut machine. I'll use the Mini for that. And look how pretty. I remove the die very carefully, and then I can snip the ends loose, because of course this hasn't cut all the way, but that's no problem. I'm using my snips to cut that piece off, and this is just slightly too long for the card, but that's no problem. Now first I'm going to do some stamping, and you have these scallops, and this is the middle bit. Now you want a text in the second bit and the second bit from the bottom, and I'm going to use a stamping tool because I want to stamp a couple of times to get a nice dark colour. So I'm putting this in, and I put it against a line. Any line would work, and I'm using a magnet to secure it here along the middle line. And then I'm using two stamp sets, Sweetest Cherries again. There's one which says Wishing You Are, which I'm going to stamp, and then from another stamp set, Biggest Wish, I'm choosing the birthday. Where is it? There it is. And as you can see, I put one text here in the second one, and the other one again in the second from the bottom. Pick it up, and now my paper will have moved, but I'm putting it against that same line again. I think I'll use a smaller magnet, would work as well. And then I'm going to put ink on my stamps and stamp this in one go. Now you can use a large ink pad. For this kind of stamping, a stamping spot also works. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. We sell them as well at Stampin' Up, and you can ink them, and you see they are easier to use than a large pad. And then I'm going to stamp, and depending on how deep the colour is, I'm going to stamp again. Yeah, I want another one. So for smaller stamps, I do prefer a stamping spot. You buy them without any ink, and you can add the ink yourself with a re-inker, and then I put the colour of the ink on there, and I put a small dot of the cardstock in there as well, so that I see which colour I'm using. You see, this is now a nice dark colour. Right, and then for the happy, I'm going to use some dies, the Alphabet a la Mode dies, and I'm going to die cut the letters happy. So I have a P, which I need to die cut twice, and I have the H, A and the Y, and I did put some sticky tape on them so that it's easy to die cut them in one go. Now what you die cut is rather narrow, you see, so I put adhesive sheet on the back of my cardstock and then I die cut. I'll show you how. I have here a 2-inch strip of crushed curry, and since I don't have any crushed curry in my scrap box, I'm going to use a sheet and put it on the cardstock. A 2-inch sheet in this case is big enough to take the letters, and it's also just the right size for one strip of the adhesive sheet. So you pull off one piece of the backing paper, put this on, and then you can cut away the rest. And this is what you die cut the letters in. So I'm going to die cut all these letters, and I'll come back for the P. You have the central line here on the grid paper and there as well, and I know that this was 3 inches, so I want about half of that, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I put it on the grid paper there at 1 1/4 inch, and then move it slightly to the right, and there you have this imaginary line, and that is where I put the first P, and this is the middle line, so I'll put it in the middle even for you. So that's where you put it. Before I do so, I'm going to attach this to my desk. To make sure it doesn't slide away all the time. And I'm going to put a ruler on, because I want them to be in an equal position. So you see, this is the middle line, so the P would be there, and again a ruler which I'm going to attach to my desk. My bits of sticky tape were still on the die, so I just took them off. Okay, so and then all you have to do is remove the backing paper. There's glue all over the P now, which means that it sticks. And I do use a pair of tweezers to make sure that I can manage them. Okay, that's the P, and then towards the right there's another P, and then the Y, and so on. These letters are delicate, so for example with the H, I make sure I remove the backing paper at both pieces of the top, and I see now that my Y just fits, so I could have put the letters a bit more towards the left, but it's okay like that as well. Wouldn't you agree? I think it looks okay. So then I'm using my bone folder to make sure that the letters adhere really well. So just with a flat end you go across the letters and push down onto them so that the glue touches the paper everywhere. This can go onto the card base. Which I cannot find. Oh, you should see my desk. I do say this more often, but it's really true. I'm rather limited for space. I have to put things on top of each other to be able to do all the filming. Now, you see, at either end it sticks out a bit, but that's okay because I'm going to cut that off. It's more important that this end fits there. So I'm going to use liquid glue. And I'm going to align it with the bottom of the card, which, well, it's the bottom now, which is the side actually. And then you can move it around a bit and then glue it down and just leave it to dry for a minute. And you see the blue sticks out. That's better. I can still move the card a bit. Okay, and then you can cut away. Take a larger pair of scissors. You can cut away what you don't need at either end. There's a bit of glue there, which I don't want on my scissors. And there we go. And And then I'm going to add 3 little hearts. I did like these hearts because they have this stitch line as well. And these are cut in Cajun Craze, and they are the Give It a Whirl dies. And you have the 3 hearts there. Lovely die set, that one as well. I'm going to use mini glue dots for them. And another card finished. That's it for today. Through my Instagram account, Karen's Papercraft, you can see what the other participants have made. Who knows, maybe they have used fish or motorbikes. If you'd like to see more of my videos, there are some suggestions there. All the details for this card are on my blog and the description is in the box below. Thank you very much for watching. Dank u wel voor het kijken en see you next time. Bye bye, tot ziens!